So, J. Cole, Jermaine, the second Lamar, came out with a new album named KOD that's supposed to represent 3 different meanings, and while I know that there's some out there who want to add that 4th meaning to troll on the boy, I want to break down what this album represents, or what he was trying to say, and who he was trying to say it to, because, for starters, I know some people are going to care about it. I like the album, especially the second half of the album. Do I think it's ever going to be this over here, as I have my little fan art? Will he ever recreate 2014 Forest Hill? No. I just don't think he will. Even with his last album, which was For Your Eyes Only, which, you know, all the fans will tell you was
It's a personal album!
Some people have seen him as kind of just like turning his back, literally turning his back to the fame and everything, and just wanting to drop albums and then dip, not wanting to, you know, have these singles and be in the spotlight. Some have even compared him to Colin Kaepernick, since they both let their hair grow out, they're both kind of intertwined, they've gone really political. Kaepernick don't play no more, and it seems like Cole ain't playing either. So the biggest message that I got from this album was him trying to 444 it. He covers different addictions through the different tracks, trying to give advice of not medicating but meditating, how money can corrupt you, how lust can't fulfill, and how it all starts when you're a kid. And then he wraps it up with a little reply to the mumble rap genre that is probably the thing that's getting the most attention from the album, just because somebody mentioned his name. Now, 2 things. Some people have speculated that since this one says it's the intro to the fall off, that there's probably another album coming. Some people, like myself, are looking at it like, well, you Rocky 2ing it over here? You got the ending of one thing being the beginning of the other? Why not just have it in the... Are we even allowed to say this is the best song of the album if it ain't even a part of the album? Second thing, when it comes to this being a response, Jermaine, you started it. Let's not forget that he made a song called Everybody Dies, where he literally says the lyrics, "Lil whatever, just another short bus rapper, fake drug dealers turned tour bus trappers." He kind of threw the first stone. I don't think anyone's arguing the fact that he's lyrically better than all the lil rappers out there, the mumble rap, the genre that just, you know, overshadows a bunch of these rappers over here. But the thing is that he can't be surprised that they're mentioning his name when he was kind of the one who grouped them all into one, and in a sense didn't reach out to them. Because while I like this album, while I agree with it, I like the advice that he's giving, it teeters right between the idea of actually being advice, but if it's coming from a stranger who hasn't reached out to you, that advice can sound like a diss. In 1985, which I think is a highlight track, he's addressing it from a point of view, addressing people who he may have not reached out to, of sort of kind of being proud of them, yet ashamed at the same time. It's like my dude's that dad who yells at you as soon as he gets home. If your dad ever gets home. There's that speculation that the Fall Off isn't even an album, since I'm sure most of us ain't falling for that damnation again, but that it's him saying that this is the fall off to mumble rap. This is the fall off to all that bad rap that's out there. He is the savior. He is the king who's going to come back and redeem it, and you are not going to see any of this bad music plaguing the genre. But like, I'm sure Mozart at some point told a dude, bro, your stuff sucks. And they still kept making it, because there isn't really a fall off to bad music. There will always be a subgenre of what is considered bad, and it's subjective, and the idea would be that a lot of bad music becomes popular because that's what people put a lot of emphasis on, especially the people who hate it. The stuff you hate gets more emphasis than the stuff you actually do love. But there is a part of this track where he mentions that 5-year span that is true. He mentions ending up on Love and Hip Hop, since it's practically become the rap equivalent of Dancing with the Stars. Cole's been in the game long enough that he's been there since before Lil Pump was born.
Look at this little ignorant, insignificant midget trying to get in it with me. You must be itching to bleed. Crazy you mentioning me.
He used to sound like the guy auditioning for Eminem's understudy to eventually finding his own sound, right? He's had different names like Blaza and Therapist, which had to be changed because on MySpace it kind of read as The Rapist. But J. Cole, whether you love him or not, he's been in the game long enough that he understands the cycle. And I started looking back at rappers from 2007, and I feel like putting out an Amber Alert for them, like Soulja Boy. Everybody was listening to Soulja Boy back in the day, and now he got cranked all the way to the side, right? Mims, maybe him not following this advice is why he's not hot anymore. Y'all remember that song A Bay Bay by a guy named Hurricane Chris? Party Like a Rockstar by the Shop Boys? Throw Some D's by Rich Boy? Sean Kingston. How does a guy the size of Sean Kingston just disappear? Point being is that if he's trying to give advice to this group of people, right, the people who are not the fans, is he taking the time to get to know them, right? There's a lot of emphasis on kids because he knows that's the starting point, but, I mean, this is a guy who takes himself very serious, and kids are all about the memes. That's exactly why mumble rap has blown up the way that it has. And I know that there are a lot of you watching who are J. Cole stans, right? You're gonna vibe with whatever he does. I know some of you see J. Cole as the alternative to that NyQuil, because he puts you to sleep. But I question at what point is he just preaching to the choir because, you know, those outside of the circle feel like they're being talked down to. It's like a Christian movie. Because I don't disagree with the stuff that he brings up. That song Brackets, the second verse that's on there, I think is one of the best verses he's ever had. Because, bro, I pay taxes this year. They freaking suck. And the way that he mentions that we don't have the ability to be able to choose where they go, not know where it's going, how they may negatively be affecting other people who are in a worse position, and they too have to be stuck paying taxes. But just because something is relatable, does that mean it's getting through to the people who need it, right? There's always going to be J. Cole fans who go, oh man, and again, I see myself as a fan of J. Cole, but the fans who go, man, I really changed and learned from this. Bro, John, he's been saying this for a while. One thing is dissing the new rappers, and it's another to want to make a difference. And I think that he kind of tries in the beginning when he's actually using trap beats, he's using that triplets flow, but it's a matter of actually going through it, right? Because nobody in the south side of Chicago wants somebody coming up telling them, yo, listen to Mercy Me, and they preach to them that way, right? They want to be talked to. They don't want a stranger giving them advice. So even though he's kind of like in the realm in the beginning of the album, he also drops that line about, I don't need features because no one's good enough to be on my stuff. Then he's got that cringy thing where the only feature that he has in the album is actually him. Bro, you're using samples. You're using other people's samples. I get the idea of Kill Edward, right? It's supposed to be a play on King Edward. It's the person who's in the front of the cover, emphasizing on the elves to focus on the little rappers out there, and how that's his persona of the drug-addicting person that he wants to kill in this album, that he wants to get rid of, what's supposed to be the fall-off. And I feel like actually working with other people would have been a lot better, actually getting those features, reaching out to them. Because we're kind of in an environment right now where in the early 90s, early 2000s, like, the part of rap was about selling drugs, and in this day and age, it's all about actually doing drugs. Like, that line has been completely blurred, and I wonder if J. Cole fans acting like Rick and Morty fans with their intellect is just making that barrier a lot worse. Because I hear a lot of people not really talking about the subject, but more so, you know, dissing J. Cole or overpraising J. Cole, talking about how he talked about the subject as opposed to the fact that whether he puts you to sleep or not, or whether you think he's the Lord and Savior of rap, what about the points that he's making? What about the fact that we're all still stuck paying taxes that don't seem to go anywhere? Because if he's done making those bangers like he used to, and he now just wants to release things, no singles, and he wants to make conversation pieces instead, then discuss them. I kind of see Cole falling into the Logic side of things, you know? They're both biracial. Cole had that secret feature in Everybody, and then kind of references the afterlife mentality in this album about being one with everybody until you finally move on. Both have a fan base that comments stuff said in a video before even watching it. So if Logic is known for being half white, then I see Cole as being the black half. And I have no doubt that he'll be here for the long run. Everything that he says in the album I agree with. I enjoy the album, and I know that he will be here because he has that fan base where he can come in, no singles, drop an album, and then just dip out of the spotlight and out of everybody else's lives for the most part. But that's the thing, he's not there reaching out to the other artists who he claims he wants to help with. And he brings up the fact that mumble rap will disappear, and I don't doubt that at all. It's like every face gonna come and go, and there'll be like the one or two who stay. But while I like the album, what he's talking about, I have to question if the approach is the best way. It's going to work for the people who are already fans, but what about the people he's trying to reach? He makes a big note on it, on the fact that it can be deciphered and that he's clearly reaching out to the kids. He knows that the youth is an important part, and he knows that addiction starts from that age. I just question if the best way to help kill our demons is to diss our kids. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Very curious to see what you guys have to say. I'll put it this way, because I know I enjoy the album, but what I'm saying is that I feel that him disappearing and not actually talking, having those discussions, I'd put A$AP Ferg. The way A$AP Ferg actually tries to collaborate with these people. Kendrick actually tries to collaborate with this genre. Chance, the way that he reaches out to people. I feel like sometimes he comes in, drops. Nobody likes taking advice from a stranger who doesn't seem to care for them, kind of. And I agree with all the advice that he's giving. And I enjoy the album. Like I said, it's a pretty good album. And I think when he's done things in the past, like that Dollar concert, giving people the chance to experience the lyrical miracle power stuff that he does, I think it's really good. So I'm not dissing J. Cole in any way, shape, or form. It's just that argument that's had a lot about whether he did a good job with it, whether he didn't. It's irrelevant if the people who he was trying to reach, I mean, you see it, just dismissed them. But on that, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Big shout out again to my boy Zach. He's got a video down there. Complete opposite of the genre that we're talking, but definitely go check it out. Tell him Eyez sent you. He directed this music video. And other than that, keep listening to rap.